My brothers. There's something most men never notice. Something so subtle, so quiet, that it slips right past even the confident ones. It's not a look, not a compliment, not even a question about your life. It's the moment she asks something that sounds innocent, but it carries a hidden pulse. A question that tests your presence, your confidence, your spirit. And Cornel West once said, "To love is to learn how to die in the self, so that you may be reborn in truth." And that's what this is about. Not just about attraction, but about awakening. Because when a woman asks you something that feels small but stirs your soul, she's not testing your knowledge. She's testing your essence. Most men miss it because they live only on the surface. They listen with their ears, not with their awareness. They reply too fast, trying to impress and rather than reflect. But the high-value man, the grounded man, the man who has faced himself, he hears the unspoken. He feels the energy beneath her words. He knows that attraction is not built through performance. It's built through presence. So today we're not just talking about what girls ask when they hit on you. We're talking about how to recognize it, how to respond like a king, and how to become the kind of man whose silence speaks louder than others' noise. Welcome to a lesson in awareness, attraction, and wisdom through the eyes of Cornel West. The hidden language of female interest. Every woman speaks two languages. One is the language of words. The other, the one that truly matters, is the language of energy. When she's interested, she doesn't always say, "I like you." Instead, she asks, "Why are you still single?" Or, "Do you always come here alone?" Or maybe, "Are you always this quiet?" Now, most men will laugh it off or respond without thinking, but the wise man, he hears what's behind the question. He knows that she's not seeking an answer. She's seeking connection. Cornel West teaches that love and recognition are inseparable. To love someone is to see them, not as an object, not as a role, but as a soul. When she asks you something subtle, she's not trying to trap you. She's trying to see if you can see her back, if you can meet her in that space of vulnerability without losing your balance. So when she asks, "Why are you single?" don't say, "I just haven't met the right one." Instead, smile. Let silence live for a moment. Then say, "Maybe because I've been too focused on what's real, not what's easy." You see, it's not your words that attract her. It's your depth. It's how still you remain when she's testing the waters. It's how unshaken you are by curiosity disguised as flirting. A high-value woman doesn't want a man who talks too much. She wants a man who feels like truth, who carries peace in his tone, who listens like time doesn't exist. That's the language of attraction. That's the poetry of masculine stillness. And that's the first step in understanding when a girl is hitting on you without words. The philosophy of recognition, Cornel West reminds us, you can't lead a life of deep love without deep courage. And courage in love doesn't just mean approaching women. It means staying grounded when love approaches you. Because when a woman hits on you, whether through questions, laughter, or shared glances, she's not chasing your body. She's testing your center. Every woman asks herself subconsciously, "Can I trust this man's calmness? Can he stay composed when faced with beauty, temptation, or uncertainty?" When she playfully teases you, when she asks about your weekend, when she mentions her favorite music, she's not just talking. She's measuring energy. She's seeing if your masculinity is performative or earned through inner peace. Cornel West once said, "Never forget that justice is what love looks like in public." In the same way, confidence is what peace looks like in conversation. The man who knows himself doesn't rush. He doesn't crumble. He doesn't explain too much. He smiles. He lets her question float in the air. And through that calm, she feels safe. That's what attraction truly is, and not fireworks, not fantasy, but safety wrapped in strength. Most older men miss this not because they're unattractive, but because they've forgotten that feminine curiosity is a compliment, Not a challenge. She doesn't ask, "Do you have someone?" because she's nosy. She asks because she wants to know if the energy she feels is available. She doesn't say, "You look good in that color," just to be polite. She's flirting in code, and your response teaches her whether she's safe to open up more. If you respond with insecurity, she closes. If you respond with arrogance, she shields. But if you respond with calm humor and masculine grace, she leans in. So remember this, my friend. When a woman asks something small, it's often a doorway. The question isn't the test, you are. And when you answer with composure, awareness, and grounded charm, you don't just attract her. You honor her curiosity with presence. That's not game. That's philosophy in motion. That's Cornel West's idea of soulful connection made real in human dialogue. Would you like me to continue with part 3 to 5, same tone and depth next? Those sections will go deeper into emotional intelligence in flirting, presence over words, and how to respond like a high-value man. Emotional intelligence, the masculine magnetism. Most men think attraction is built through confidence. But confidence without emotional intelligence is arrogance dressed in perfume. Emotional intelligence is the quiet rhythm of awareness. It's when your tone, your silence, your eyes, and your words align with empathy. Cornel West said, "Never forget that tenderness is what love feels like in private." That means, the strength of a man isn't in how loud he speaks. It's in how gentle his presence feels to the right woman. When she asks you something small, "When was the last time you traveled?" Or, "Do you always read books like that?" She's not just curious. She's scanning your emotional depth. A woman's heart is like a tuning fork. It vibrates with the emotional truth of the man in front of her. She knows when you're performing confidence, and she knows when you're being authentic. When you answer, don't rush. Let your words carry the calm of a man who's seen storms and still found peace. Say something like, "Yeah, I read because it reminds me how much more there is to understand." It's not about the content. It's about the tone. It's the way your eyes soften when you speak. It's the way your shoulders relax. It's the balance of strength and sensitivity, the dual power that draws her in. Older men often forget this. They think youth is what women chase. But in truth, what women seek is emotional maturity. They crave a man who doesn't just listen. He feels what's being said. That's emotional intelligence. It's the ability to sense what's not being spoken, to answer not from ego but from awareness. And Cornel West reminds us, you can't have love without vulnerability. You can't have vulnerability without courage. So when she flirts with you in disguise, when her voice lowers, when she teases, when she gets curious, you meet her not with pride, but with presence. That's what makes a man magnetic. Not his looks, not his money, but the spiritual weight of his awareness, presence over words, the silent power. She feels there is a kind of man who speaks 1,000 words and says nothing. And there is a kind of man who says one word, and it echoes for hours. That's the man who understands presence. Cornel West once said, "To be human is to wrestle with despair and still choose love." When you live from that place and from inner quiet, from dignity, your presence begins to speak louder than anything you could ever say. When a girl asks you a playful question like, "Why are you so calm all the time?" Or, "Do you ever get nervous?" She's not teasing you. She's acknowledging your presence. She's feeling the difference between your energy and every other man's noise. Your response doesn't need to be witty. It needs to be true. Smile gently. Maybe look away for a second. Let the silence breathe. Then say, "I've learned that calm doesn't mean I don't feel. It means I don't let feelings control me." That line, said with stillness, not pride, will sink deeper than charm ever could. Because presence isn't about dominance. It's about gravity. It's when your energy is so real she feels safer standing near it. A woman doesn't fall for the man who talks the most. She falls for the man whose silence feels alive. Presence is rare, and rarity attracts curiosity. You don't need to fill every gap in conversation. You don't need to prove you're interesting. Let your peace do the talking. Cornel West said, "To be truly alive is to learn how to listen." So when she speaks, listen not to the words, but to the emotion beneath them. If she's playful, match her rhythm. If she's thoughtful, meet her stillness. That mirroring builds intimacy faster than compliments ever could. Most men rush to fill silence because silence makes them uncomfortable. But silence is the sacred space where attraction breathes. When you stay calm in it, she senses power. When you rush to escape it, she senses insecurity. Your calm is the message. Your presence is the proof. Your awareness is the invitation. That's how you separate yourself, not by saying more, but by being more. How to respond like a high-value man. Now let's get to the moment of truth. The response. When she asks something that feels flirtatious, when she compliments your shirt, when she says, "You must be trouble," how do you respond? Not with arrogance, not with validation-seeking humor, but with grounded warmth, masculine grace. Cornel West calls this the courage of love, because responding with grace means you're not afraid to be authentic. You don't hide behind charm, yet you lead with truth. So, when she says, "You must be trouble," you smile and say, "Only for those who mistake kindness for weakness." When she says, "I bet you have a lot of girls chasing you," you hold her gaze and say, "Quality doesn't chase quantity. These aren't lines, they're reflections of presence. You're not trying to impress. You're revealing composure. The high-value man isn't reactive. He doesn't flinch at feminine energy, and he flows with it. He lets the moment live without forcing it. Because what women crave most isn't entertainment, it's emotional leadership. A man who can hold space for emotion without losing himself. A man who listens deeply, speaks slowly, and carries intention like a quiet flame. Cornel West said, "Love is not a noun. It's a verb. It's action. It's movement. It's struggle. In the same way, attraction isn't a performance, it's an energy exchange. When she flirts, you don't just react. You respond with awareness. That's what separates boys from men. That's what transforms curiosity into connection. So next time a girl asks you a question that feels deeper than small talk, pause. Breathe. Answer with dignity, not defense. Show her that you're a man who's awake. Show her that you're grounded in values, not validation. Show her that you can flirt with truth, not just charm. That's what makes her lean in. That's what makes her trust you. That's what makes her feel like she's finally found someone real. Because, as Cornel West reminds us, love is what justice looks like in private. And when your words, tone, and presence align with authenticity, you become that justice. You become that peace. You become that rare kind of man, the one she can't stop thinking about. Not because you played her game, but because you played none at all. The deep game. What she's really testing, you see, my brother, when a woman shows interest, whether she's young, mature, or seasoned with wisdom, she's not just testing your looks or charm. She's testing your truth, Cornel West reminds us. You cannot be a truth teller without bearing witness to love. That means, when she asks questions, when she flirts, when she leans in, she's watching if your words align with your energy. She's asking herself silently, can I trust what this man says? Does his presence match his promise? Is his smile honest, or is it a mask? Most men think attraction is about doing something right, but true attraction, soulful attraction, comes from being someone real. You don't need to perform. You don't need to chase. You just need to stand in truth and your truth. When she sees that, she feels something deeper than lust, and she feels respect. And respect is the seed of real attraction. If she asks, "What are you looking for in a woman?" don't give a rehearsed answer. Speak from your heart. Say, "Someone whose energy brings peace, not noise." You don't need to impress her, you need to inspire safety. Cornel West often says, "There is no deep love without deep suffering," meaning, the man who has faced loss, who has been broken, who has rebuilt himself, he carries a calm that no young man can imitate. It's that calm she feels when she talks to you. It's that maturity that says, "I've lived, I've learned, and I'm not afraid of real connection." She's drawn to that depth, the kind of depth that's born from experience, from pain, from growth. She flirts because she feels that you're different, not desperate, not distracted, but grounded. So when she throws you a question, even a playful one, see it for what it is, an invitation to show your authentic masculinity. She's not looking for a player. She's looking for presence, for patience, for the kind of energy that doesn't beg, it simply is. That's the deep game most men miss. They chase validation while the wise man simply radiates peace. That peace is your power. That awareness is your game. And that's what Cornel West would call the spiritual dimension of love, the sacred masculine energy. Now, we arrive at the heart of it all, the sacred masculine energy. Every woman who flirts, every woman who tests, every woman who asks questions that seem small, she's searching for alignment. She's asking without words, "Are you the kind of man who can handle my spirit?" Cornel West said something profound. To love is to find joy in the struggle for goodness. A high-value man doesn't see women as puzzles to solve. He sees them as souls to understand. He doesn't get angry when tested. He gets curious. He doesn't lose patience, he deepens it. When she playfully says, "I bet you think you're mysterious," laugh gently. Say, "No, I'm just at peace with what most people run from and themselves." That's the difference between charm and mastery. Charm attracts attention. Mastery earns devotion. And when you live in mastery, when you lead with truth, peace, and grounded love, you become what Cornel West calls a force for compassion in a shallow world. Because masculine energy, at its highest form, isn't domination, it's direction. It's not control, and it's clarity. It's not pride, it's purpose. Women don't fall for perfect men. They fall for present men, men who don't flinch under pressure, men who stand in storms and still carry peace in their eyes. That's the energy she feels when she flirts, the steady pulse of a man who knows who he is. When you reach that point, you stop playing games, and because you are the game. You don't chase validation because your worth is rooted in truth, not attention. You become magnetic without effort, because everything about you says, "I am centered." And Cornel West would call that the love of wisdom made human. That's philosophy not in books, but in presence, tone, and silence. The awakening of the modern man, so, my brother. When you hear that subtle question from a woman, that gentle curiosity, that teasing tone, that playful smile, pause. Don't rush to respond. Don't shrink. Don't overanalyze, instead breathe. Feel the moment. Recognize that beneath her question lies trust waiting to unfold. She's not asking to test you. She's asking to meet you. To meet the man who isn't just reacting but aware. The man who carries wisdom in his words but peace in his silence. Cornel West teaches us that every act of love is an act of courage, and that courage isn't loud. It's quiet, it's steady, it's soulful. So the next time a girl asks you something small, remember, she might just be offering you the doorway to something real. Don't miss it by being too distracted. Don't miss it by trying to prove yourself. Don't miss it by hiding behind ego. Instead, listen, smile with sincerity, respond with grace, and let your presence do what words never can. Because, my friend, attraction isn't built in what you say. It's built in what you embody. Be the man who leads with peace. Be the man who listens like time slows down around him. Be the man whose calm invites her to open her heart. That is what makes her lean in. That is what makes her feel safe. That is what makes her fall, not for your charm but for your truth. As Cornel West once said, never forget that love is what truth looks like in action. So act with love, speak with truth, and live as a man whose energy speaks before his words ever do. Because the ones who see beyond the surface, the ones who understand what she's really saying, they don't just attract women. They attract connection. They attract meaning. They attract respect, and that, my brother, is the kind of man the world and every woman remembers.